Welcome back to my YouTube channel, everyone, to this exciting journey where we dive deep into the world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and the incredible stories behind them. Today we are going to unravel the fascinating details about the 1976 1-cent coin, a coin that at first glance might look like an ordinary penny you could find in change or lying at the bottom of a drawer. Yet beneath its simple copper-plated exterior lies a story so remarkable that collectors, historians, and treasure hunters alike have placed its value at an astounding $40 million, and this jaw-dropping worth is not just a random figure pulled out of thin air but the result of a perfect storm of minting errors, striking mistakes, historical significance, and the undeniable passion of collectors who understand that sometimes the tiniest details can transform what seems like pocket change into a priceless artifact. So let's take a deep dive into what makes this 1976 1-cent coin such a marvel and why it stands as one of the most valuable coins in American history. Starting with its context, we know that 1976 was an important year for the United States as it marked the bicentennial celebration of American independence, a year of patriotic pride, commemorations, and special coinage releases, though the 1 cent itself did not receive a special bicentennial reverse like the quarter, half dollar, and dollar did. Its production during this historic year ties it to a moment of cultural and national significance which adds to the mystique. But what really drives the astronomical value of this coin are the errors, and when we talk about errors in the numismatic world, we are referring to those anomalies that occur during the minting process, such as double dies, off-center strikes, wrong planches, clipped planches, misaligned dies, overstrikes, die breaks, brockages, and even transitional errors. And the 1976 1 cent has been discovered with a combination of these anomalies that make it unlike any other. Collectors know that even a single error can catapult the price of a coin from a few cents to thousands of dollars, so imagine the value when multiple errors converge on a coin minted in such a historically symbolic year. One of the most prominent and discussed features of the 1976 penny worth $40 million is the double die obverse, where the inscription, "In God We Trust," shows a strong doubling visible to the naked eye, creating a shadow-like appearance that stirs fascination among collectors. Similarly, the word liberty and the date 1976 exhibit clear doubling that makes it distinct and undeniably different from a regular strike. Errors like this are often caused when a die receives multiple impressions from the hub that are slightly misaligned, producing these ghost-like images that drive collectors wild. Now add to this an off-center strike where the entire design is misaligned toward the rim, leaving a blank crescent on one side. This is not just a minor off-center but one so significant that it makes the coin look as though the design is slipping off the edge. These dramatic off-center strikes are rare and command huge premiums. Then combine this with a striking on the wrong planchet. Some of these legendary 1976 cents were mistakenly struck on dime planches or on foreign coin planches intended for circulation overseas. Imagine holding a penny that weighs less than it should or has a silvery hue rather than copper, instantly raising eyebrows among experts. The rarity of such occurrences is astronomical, adding immeasurable value. Further examination shows die cracks running across Lincoln's portrait, forming raised ridges of metal that look like accidental scars etched into the coin. These cracks can form patterns collectors nickname things like lightning strikes or cut errors, when large parts of the die break off and leave huge blank blobs of metal on the finished coin. And on the reverse side, we see evidence of misaligned dies where the memorial building is slightly rotated or shifted, and even instances of die polishing errors where parts of the design seem to fade away as if eroded. Another rare phenomenon on some 1976 pennies is the presence of a lamination error where part of the metal surface peels or flakes due to impurities in the planchet, giving it a unique textured look that no other coin can replicate. And when you combine all of these anomalies into a single specimen, it becomes a coin so extraordinary that serious collectors are willing to pay whatever it takes to acquire it, pushing the value into the tens of millions. But beyond the physical errors lies the intangible factors that fuel such astronomical valuations. First is the historical context, because 1976 being the bicentennial year ties this coin to a time when America was celebrating 200 years of freedom, independence, and national pride. Owning a coin from that year already carries sentimental value. Second is the concept of rarity and demand. Numismatics thrives on the principle that rarity plus demand equals value. When something exists in only a handful of examples and when those examples are tied to a significant era and riddled with striking anomalies, the demand skyrockets. Collectors battle each other in auctions, pushing prices higher and higher. And third is the storytelling aspect, because people love the idea that a small copper coin minted for just 1 cent could defy all odds and become a multi-million-dollar treasure. Stories like these capture the imagination and fuel bidding wars that drive prices beyond what anyone thought possible. Imagine walking into a flea market, buying a jar of old coins, and later realizing that inside lies one of the most famous rarities ever produced by the US Mint. That fantasy is what keeps treasure hunters alive with hope. So when we look at the 1976 penny worth $40 million, we are not simply looking at copper and zinc, we are looking at history, at mistakes that turned into miracles, at the unpredictability of minting, and at the passion of human beings who chase rarity with unmatched dedication. Another possibility adding intrigue is the transitional era theory, because during the mid-1970s the US Mint was experimenting with different compositions for pennies, eventually moving from mostly copper to a copper-plated zinc planchet in the 1980s, and a few 1976 cents are believed to have been struck on experimental planchets, which makes them prototypes of a kind, and prototypes are always extremely valuable. Furthermore, let's not forget about the condition of the coin, because in numismatics the grade is everything. A coin with errors but heavy wear might fetch thousands, but the same error coin in mint state condition with blazing luster and minimal contact marks can skyrocket into millions. And the $40 million specimen of the 1976 cent is reported to be in superb gem condition, a factor that multiplies its desirability. As we unravel all these layers, we see that what seems like an ordinary cent is in fact a perfect storm of historical timing, mechanical mishaps, metallurgical anomalies, human error, and collector obsession, each detail building on the next until the value climbs to an unbelievable level. And if you think about it, this phenomenon is not limited to coins. It's a reflection of human culture itself, where mistakes, uniqueness, and stories transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. So the 1976 1 cent at $40 million is more than just a coin. It is a symbol of how value is created when history, rarity, and human passion collide. And that is why today we can look at this humble penny and see not just 1 cent but a fortune, a legend, and a timeless piece of American heritage that will continue to fascinate generations to come. Next, 2016 D1 cent USA coin. Everyone to today's exciting and mind-blowing journey where we dive deep into the unbelievable story of how a 2016 D1 cent coin, a penny that you might overlook in your pocket change every single day, can actually be worth an astonishing $36 million, all because of the fascinating world of minting errors, striking mistakes, and unique possibilities that make this seemingly ordinary coin one of the most talked about treasures in modern numismatic history. And as we explore the full background behind why this particular year and mint mark combination holds such tremendous value, you'll come to see how something so small and easy to dismiss can actually turn into a life-changing discovery for the lucky collector or even the casual person who happens to find one without realizing what they hold in their hands. Because the 2016 D penny is not just another coin struck at the Denver Mint. It's a coin that has been reported to exhibit a range of incredible errors, from double die obverse and reverse misalignments to off-center strikes, die cracks, and even the possibility of transitional planchet errors where the wrong type of metal composition was used in striking, each of these features contributing to its rarity, desirability, and ultimately the jaw-dropping price tag that makes headlines. And when we talk about double die errors on the obverse of a penny, we're talking about visible doubling in the inscription, such as "In God We Trust," "Liberty," or the date itself. And in some extreme cases the doubling is so pronounced that it looks like the letters and numbers are shadowed or stretched, something that collectors crave because it proves a one-of-a-kind minting mistake. And for the 2016 D penny, some specimens reportedly show striking doubling that makes them instantly stand out, while others may display reverse doubling where United States of America, E pluribus unum, or the Lincoln Memorial Shield design appears doubled in an unmistakable way. Errors like this elevate the value into astronomical territory because the uniqueness of each example guarantees that no two error coins are exactly alike, which is why collectors are willing to pay millions for ownership. And then you also have off-center strike errors where the coin fails to align correctly during the minting process, leaving a large blank crescent shape along one side of the penny and squeezing the design into the opposite side, with some of the most valuable off-center coins being those that are 50% off but still retain the full date and mint mark, because that's the only way to attribute and prove the coin's origin. And when we talk about die cracks or die breaks, these are errors where the die itself begins to fracture during production, causing raised irregular lines, blobs, or shapes on the coin that were never intended in the design. And such die cracks on a 2016 D penny can create dramatic visual effects that turn a normal coin into a piece of art made by mistake, driving up its value. but perhaps one of the most exciting possibilities with a coin like the 2016 AD penny is the potential for a transitional error, which happens when a planchet from a previous composition or a different denomination accidentally gets struck with the penny dies, meaning you could have a penny struck on a dime planchet, or even on a leftover planchet from a previous era with a different metallic content, which instantly makes it incredibly rare. Because it breaks the rules of what the coin should be, and when authenticated by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, such transitional errors routinely sell for eye-watering sums at auction, and the 2016 AD penny has been rumored to exist with these extraordinary blunders, which explains why its value has skyrocketed to the $36 million mark, a price point that stuns not just casual coin enthusiasts but also seasoned collectors and investors who see coins like this as both historical artifacts and financial assets, because let's face it, owning a coin like this isn't just about having pocket change, it's about holding in your hand a tangible mistake that tells a story of how even the most advanced minting technology in the world isn't perfect, and when imperfection is combined with rarity, demand, and the thrill of the chase, you get record-breaking prices. But what also makes the 2016 AD penny so alluring is its modern date, because when people think of valuable coins, they usually imagine older, ancient, or classic coins from decades or centuries ago, not something as recent as 2016, which is why finding one feels even more shocking and exciting, and this idea that a coin minted less than a decade ago could already be worth more than most houses adds a layer of relatability and hope for everyday people who now eagerly check their change jars, wallets, and coin rolls from the bank, dreaming of stumbling upon that $1 million penny and beyond the known era. Types. The speculation and possibilities surrounding the 2016 AD penny's value are endless, with collectors theorizing about misaligned dies, multiple strike errors where the coin is struck more than once and shows overlapping images, clipped planchets where part of the coin is missing due to a cutting mistake at the mint, and even rare full brokerage errors where one coin is mistakenly stamped onto another, leaving an incuse, mirror-like design, all of which can multiply the coin's desirability and price. And to make things even more thrilling, not all errors are immediately obvious to the naked eye, which means there are possibly undiscovered 2016 AD pennies hiding in circulation right now, sitting unnoticed in someone's change tray, waiting for a sharp-eyed collector to recognize them. And when you think about it, that possibility of finding a $36 million treasure in the form of a single penny during an ordinary day is what makes this story so compelling and viral, because it combines mystery, luck, history, and wealth all in one. And the reality is that in the world of numismatics, the value of an error coin is determined not only by how rare it is but also by how dramatic and visually interesting the error appears. So the bigger, bolder, and more eye-catching the mistake, the higher the value goes, and the 2016 AD penny ticks every box because its range of errors includes some of the most spectacular possibilities imaginable. And when you think about auctions where collectors compete fiercely to outbid each other, you realize that the final hammer price of $36 million isn't just about the coin itself but about the prestige of owning something unique that no one else can ever replicate, and the media attention surrounding such a sale only adds to the legend of the 2016 AD penny, creating a snowball effect where demand and curiosity push the coin into an almost mythical status. And in addition to the errors, one must also consider condition, because a coin in pristine, uncirculated condition graded MS68 or MS69 with an error will always outshine a circulated example, and since the Denver Mint produces billions of coins every year, the chance of any error surviving unnoticed and then remaining in perfect condition is slim, which makes those rare survivors that much more valuable. And this scarcity combined with condition rarity explains why the value soared to the multi-million-dollar mark. And imagine being the person who found or owned such a coin. Holding it up knowing that it is worth tens of millions, it's like holding lightning in your hands, a true once-in-a-lifetime discovery. And when you reflect on this, you realize the story of the 2016 AD penny is more than just about money. It's about human fascination with rarity, imperfection, and the magic of chance. It's about how the tiniest details can turn something common into something extraordinary. And it serves as a reminder that treasures are not always hidden deep underground or locked away in museums. Sometimes they're right in front of us, jingling in our pockets, waiting for someone to pay attention. And that is why the tale of the 2016 AD penny worth $36 million continues to capture the imagination of collectors, treasure hunters, and dreamers all over the world who know that every coin they touch could hold a hidden story, a hidden fortune, and perhaps even a hidden miracle. Last 1988 1 cent USA coin, everyone to another exciting deep dive into the fascinating world of rare coins and unbelievable stories of how something as small and ordinary as a 1-cent piece can turn into a multi-million-dollar treasure. And today we are going to talk about one of the most intriguing cases in numismatic history, the 1988 1-cent coin that has been valued at an astounding $32 million because of the unique errors, mistakes, and minting anomalies that have transformed it from a regular penny into a legendary artifact of immense value. And while at first glance a 1988 1-cent coin might look like any other, it is the underlying details, the rare production mishaps, and the historical context that create a narrative so compelling that collectors are willing to spend fortunes just to own a piece of history. And so as we dive into this subject, we will explore the nature of the errors that make this coin so remarkable, the possibilities that could explain its unique creation, and the reasons why collectors and investors alike are fascinated with such items, creating a frenzy in the marketplace where stories of small coins being sold for the price of luxury mansions or even private jets have become a reality. So let's peel back the layers of mystery and excitement around the 1988 1-cent that became worth $32 million and truly understand what makes it one of the most valuable coins of all time, because to understand the magnitude of this valuation we need to first appreciate how rare coin errors are perceived, since error coins are not just mistakes but rather unintentional works of art created by the minting process itself, representing moments when human oversight, machine malfunction, or unexpected anomalies combine to produce something outside the standard design. And collectors seek out these coins because they tell a story, they represent something unique, a piece that nobody else can replicate, and the rarer and more dramatic the error, the more valuable the coin becomes. So in the case of the 1988 penny, the errors attributed to it include striking anomalies where the obverse and reverse designs do not align perfectly, creating what experts call an off-center strike, sometimes resulting in part of the coin being blank while the other side shows distorted designs. And then there are double die errors, which occur when the die used to strike the coin shifts slightly during production, causing the lettering, numbers, or images to appear doubled. And in 1988 one of the most notable variations comes from a double die obverse where Lincoln's profile seems to show ghost-like shadows of itself, making the coin instantly distinguishable from regular issues. And then there are transitional errors, which are some of the most valuable mistakes in coin collecting, and this is where the 1988 cent really shines. Because 1988 was a year of change in the minting process, a period when subtle design modifications were introduced and sometimes coins were struck with mismatched dies from previous years, resulting in anomalies where certain design details belong to one year while the rest of the coin reflects another. And for instance, one of the most famous and rare error coins in American history is the 1988 cent struck with a reverse die intended for 1989 coins, often called a transitional reverse error, which is incredibly scarce and highly sought after. And it is these kinds of transitional mistakes that fuel the legend of the multi-million-dollar valuation, because not only does the coin carry a mistake, it carries a mistake tied to a historic change in minting technology. And when you combine this with pristine condition or unique variations in the metal composition, suddenly you are looking at a coin that is one of a kind, a coin that transcends its face value and becomes a museum-worthy artifact. And this is why collectors go wild for it, bidding up the price in auctions until it reaches astronomical figures like $32 million, because at the end of the day value in the world of collectibles is not just about the object itself but about the story, the history, the rarity, and the demand created by passionate communities who recognize how significant such anomalies are. And when you dig deeper into the 1988 cent you realize there are multiple layers of intrigue, such as the possibility of wrong planchet errors, where a coin is struck on a blank meant for a different denomination entirely, leading to cents struck on dimes or even foreign coins. And if such a thing occurred in 1988, that coin would be worth even more, because it represents not just a minting mistake but a complete deviation from the intended process. And then you have die cracks, cuds, and clashes, all types of striking errors where the minting dies themselves are damaged or misaligned, leaving behind raised lines, missing parts of the design, or unintended marks that become permanent identifiers of the coin's uniqueness. And sometimes collectors find coins with off-metal strikes where the alloy composition is incorrect, for instance a cent struck in bronze instead of the zinc-coated planchets adopted in the 1980s, and in the case of 1988 such a discovery would add immense value because it connects the coin to earlier eras of US coinage. And then there is the question of survival, because for every error that slips through quality control at the mint, the vast majority are caught and destroyed. leaving only a tiny handful in circulation, and sometimes only one or two known examples exist, which means that if you are holding a coin like the 1988 transitional reverse error cent, you might be holding the only one left, instantly making it priceless, and this scarcity is what drives values into the millions, and the more dramatic the error, the more the bidding wars escalate among collectors, museums, and investors who understand that owning such a piece is not just about wealth but about legacy, because coins like this are trophies of history, artifacts that link us to the past in tangible ways, and owning them makes one part of a small elite circle that guards these treasures for future generations. And when you consider the possibility of a 1988 cent reaching $32 million in value, it makes sense once you understand the dynamics of rarity, desirability, and historical significance. Because every time such a coin is discovered, it makes headlines, sparking curiosity and excitement across the globe, and more people start checking their change jars, their old piggy banks, and inherited coin collections to see if perhaps they too are sitting on a hidden fortune, because all it takes is one overlooked error penny to completely change a person's life. And this is why the story of the 1988 1 cent valued at $32 million is so captivating, because it embodies the dream of discovering hidden treasure in the most unexpected of places. And as we continue to analyze its features, from double dies to transitional reverses, from off-metal strikes to die cracks and clashes, we realize that this coin is not just a piece of currency but a symbol of how imperfections can become priceless, how mistakes can become marvels, and how something as ordinary as a penny can become a legend in the world of numismatics. So as you listen to this story, imagine the journey of this coin, struck in a busy US mint facility in 1988, perhaps overlooked by inspectors, slipping into circulation, passing through countless hands, used to buy small items like candy or newspapers, before one day being recognized for what it truly is, pulled out of obscurity, authenticated by experts, and then propelled into the spotlight as one of the rarest and most valuable coins ever discovered. And that journey itself adds to its mystique, because every coin has a story, but only a handful have stories worth millions. And this 1988 cent is one of them, a coin that teaches us the value of paying attention to details, the importance of history, and the magic of rarity. And so the next time you hold a penny in your hand, take a closer look, because you never know if you might be holding the next multi-million-dollar treasure. And with that, we close this incredible exploration into the tale of the 1988 1 cent worth $32 million, a story of errors, mistakes, and possibilities that turned a humble coin into a priceless marvel. And if you enjoyed this deep dive and want to hear more amazing stories about rare coins, treasures, and the hidden value in everyday objects, make sure you stick around, because the world of numismatics is full of surprises waiting to be uncovered.